Well, I'm here with Jac Smith, a good friend of mine and someone that has been in our community for the last few years. And I'm so excited to be with you to talk just a little bit about your business and our relationship. So we're just celebrating a milestone for you. You have just hit 100 million in volume, and you've done so in less than 5 years. You and your team have already done that. And looking at this, everything, this journey that it has been, what does that number signify for you?
Well, I guess the first thing is, I didn't know we did 100 million until we were told we did 100 million. So I think that's the most important thing. And I have to say this was not done by me, this was done by the team. So, when I started here, I was a solo agent in 2016, I started. Mm-hmm. And the business has just grown and grown and grown and grown. In 2018, we did 4 million. In 2019, we did 14 million. In 2020, we did 32 million. In 2021, we did 42 million, and we are at 16 million already with $12.5 million in the pipeline. So this was truly, when I tell you this was done with the team. This was not just done with Jac.
So when you talk about the team, who is the team?
Who we're talking about, the team. The team, I have several people on the team, and let me just go down in line as how it happened, if I may.
Sure.
So Divya Chugani is my partner. Jake Maisner is my partner. Now Divya and I she's quite a bit younger than me, and Jake is way younger than me. He's younger than just about as old as my grandchildren, for God's sake. And then I have Silvio Rodriguez, who is director of our operations. And then we have Julie Humphrey, who is our lead sales agent. Tucker, who is under her working on sales as well. Ziba is a whole nother world. Ziba's been in the business for 6 months. Her very first listing was $8.5 million. Can you imagine coming into business? I mean, I only did $4.5 million my very first year in the business. She took her first listing at $8.5 million.
This isn't LA, right?
No, this is not LA. This is
$8.5 million for one house is a lot here.
That's a block here. Sometimes more than a block. But Ziva is absolutely incredible. You do not get in her way. She's an absolute steamroller. And we also have Vince, and he's retired. He actually helped me get started in the business with referring people to me. So I'm very grateful for him as well. But I could not do any of this without having Jake and Silvio and Divya and Julia and Ziba and Tucker. They're all the wind beneath my wings, and I could not be here. This is the Jac Smith Group because I'm the face, but it's the Jac Smith Group that created all this, not me.
So talking about grateful and gratitude, that's something that has been your personal mantra. It's something that is a part of the tagline for the team. It's something you and I have spoken at length about over the course of our friendship. Do you find that gratitude is always there when working? I mean, bringing it into business has been something that's important to you, and yet I'm sure that although it's a part of you, it's still something that you work at all the time. So is it always showing itself in the business?
Well, I think that would be a good question to ask the team, because sometimes I'm not overly grateful because I'm a crack the whip guy, you know, when things are going on that I'm not happy about, I speak up about it. I live in gratitude. I mean, you know that I live in gratitude. I've had a really wonderful life. And coming to St. Petersburg changed my world, right? We'd come down from New York after losing everything in Hurricane Sandy and didn't know where to start. And I came here, didn't know a soul, and now we've built our business into whatever it is currently.
When you talk about losing everything to Sandy, I think Sandy people need to understand what that looks like.
I was a retired mortgage banker from Manhattan, and in October of 2012, Sandy came in and wiped out I had retired, bought a restaurant and a bed and breakfast at the Jersey Shore. So it wiped out our restaurant, our bed and breakfast, and our home. So we had the next 2 years, we had a fight with the insurance companies. And then it's actually one of my neighbors from Fort Lauderdale that we had a winter home in that suggested I come over here, and the rest is history.
So I don't know about most people, but if I had put a lot of time and effort and money into a bed and breakfast and a restaurant and it wiped away, I don't know if I'd always find the gratitude and everything. So how has that been something that you've been able to carry with you since then?
Well, when as we all learn in life, when things happen that are not good, and that's the only word I can use, they were not bad, you just have to expect that the world will help you recreate again. So, I'm fortunate to have people like you that have helped me in my journey. Certainly I wouldn't be where I am if you hadn't started me, I'll say that to begin with. So let me extend the biggest gratitude to you, because that's the truth. And you've been with me through my whole entire journey, stepping me up, picking up the phone calls when I'm like ready to kill and ready to freak out and ready to jump off the Skyway Bridge, like the world's falling, I go from here to here, just sort of where I live. I try to live in gray, and really my life is gray. If you talk to anybody else, you ask my husband, he'll tell you my life is very gray. I get blips like this, like that little heart machine that you have in the hospital, right? The little blips.
Right.
But I really try to live in gray. And I think that's where gratitude for me is. Not living in the highs and not living in the lows. And knowing that my deep faith in God has brought us here. You can't have that kind of disaster. And I have to say this, we had lots of insurance. Lots of insurance. Not enough, let me make it clear. But a lot of people had no insurance. So, you live in gratitude and say, thank you, God, we had insurances. And you know what? I was a telephone man for 20 years. I was a mortgage banker for 25 years. I came down and Philip said, what are you going to do? Why don't you sell real estate? I said, I don't want to work with those people. And look where we are now, right? And here we are. So, and I joined Keller Williams, which truly, what I have to tell you, we have a class called Ignite. And the night I graduated from Ignite, there were no planes going from St. Pete to New Orleans. So I got in my car, drove to New Orleans, and Kathy Stanch held my hand through the entire first 3 days. And when you walk in the door, the first sign on the big, when you were 25,000 of your best friends on the big screens is God, family, and business. Mm-hmm. Well, I didn't know anything about business yet, but I knew about God and family. Right. So I knew it was the right place.
Well, and something that we were talking about before here and looking at it, there's a lot to be said about coaching, right? There's tons of coaching people on Instagram and influencers and things of that. But one of the things that I think we were discussing is that this is a very intimate kind of coaching. And so, of course, I'm honored that I've been there along with you this whole time. I want for you to be able to kind of describe how that evolution of a friendship and partnership has been interwoven into your business and why it's something that for someone maybe on the outside that's thinking, oh, I don't need it, where they might be mistaken.
Well, I was of that mindset when I first came into the business. I didn't understand coaching. I had a big team at the bank, but we all worked hard. And I never really called it coaching because we just worked, right? When you come into Keller Williams, it changes your world and changes your vocabulary, changes your life. And coaching, I started coaching, I guess it was about my third year, just after my mom had passed. I'd gotten into coaching. And just before that, I had gotten in it with you, but not on the depths of that I knew that we were going to go to, because I think you sort of built me up to understand what you were doing, how you were going to help me have a better life, how you were going to change our business, how you were going to make us what we wanted to be. I mean, you taught me to have my big why and think as big as I can, right? Like, I never thought that big. I mean, it's not that I didn't think that big, because we've had a good life, but I didn't know my life could be this big at 69 years old, right? So the relationship is beyond coaching. It's an intimate relationship in which you really know just about everything about me that there is to know, right? I have no secrets. I'm an open door. You know how to get to my heart in 30 seconds and jab me. You know how to get to my soul. And you know how to say to me, Jac, get your ass in gear and get to work. So I've been fortunate. I've had you to start out with the coaching, and then COVID hit. We were all scared to death. All of us didn't know where our lives were going to go. And I started with these morning calls with James Shaw and Sam Nalen and Chris Hurley, which was script practice. So James is, every morning I get on a call from 7:30 until 8:20. And then Chris Hurley, we went into script practice from 8:20 until 9. But before that, I had you backing me up, telling me what I needed to do. And like, what am I doing on these morning calls? Well, I got on them. And when I tell you, James started out with 120 of us, I believe. It's 120 of us. And now there's almost 100,000 people that follow him every single morning.
Wow.
Because he's changed lives. I mean, literally changed lives. People that had no business have an incredible business now. So the most important relationship that was mine with you, as you know, because I discuss that with you all the time. Pat Mancuso was the bold coach, right? James was my bold coach. And when I knew that I needed more, because you and I were so grounded spiritually and intimately, I needed somebody to help me take me to a different level and a business level that I didn't even understand. Even though you took me there, he explained it to me on a much higher level and focused there. And to me, it's a business relationship, and this is a personal relationship that has changed my business. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, to this point, which I think for a lot of people, the idea of just doing the activities, right? Oh, I just need to make the phone calls. I just need to do the things. What you and I know is that it's really about becoming. And it's becoming the person who has the aptitude and has the gratitude and has the skill sets. And so, I really think that the personal development aspect of what we're talking about, I mean, as you've mentioned, being a phone man, being a mortgage banker, having a restaurant. I mean, you've had multiple careers. You have been very blessed. You and Philip have been very blessed with a great life, and you've done things. So looking at it, building yourself, why, as you mentioned, at this age, are you still working on personal development? Haven't you arrived?
Well, I don't think I'll arrive until I get to the pearly gates, if I get there, if I'm allowed in. Arrived. I think that's a great word, arrive. As far as I'm concerned, I've just touched the tip of the iceberg, because now I have the tools. When you first come in, we learn all the beginning things in Ignite, right? With writing our cards, calling our 10 people a day. I still write probably a dozen handwritten notes a day. I still make 25 to 30 phone calls to former clients and current people that we're working with a day. We get on the phones at 9:30 in the morning after our huddle that we have in the morning, as you got Jake. In fact, you coach Jake and Divya as well. And you got Jake to start our huddles. So now our huddles really are the beginning of the day. You've helped us set up to be role models in the office. And that I don't take lightly, because I've learned so much, and I'm so grateful for everything that's been done for us with Keller Williams. We have a new incredible leader in the office now that is absolutely going to take us to forget the stars, she's going to take us to the moon.
Okay.
I totally believe in what Stormy is doing. But the real relationship, and we're in the relationship business, is started with you.
So, Jack, my last question is...
Is there really a last question, Michael?
It is really the last question. Maybe. We'll see how it goes. Is looking at everything that you're doing, building the team, having the successes we mentioned from a financial perspective. You could have retired. I mean, you don't have to work. This is not about whether or not you're paying a mortgage. So I guess my question for you is, what's it all for? Why are you doing this? What is your big why?
Oh, well, that's a loaded question. First, let me just say that on Tuesday, we paid off our mortgage. I took a mortgage out when we bought our house a half a years ago that was higher than any mortgage I've ever had in my life, and we busted our butts. The team busted our butts, and we actually paid off our mortgage on Tuesday. So that is, to me, is a huge accomplishment. Taking on debt at 63 years old was not or 65, I guess. It was not comfortable at all, but we paid that off. We talk about the different bold laws that we have. Be, do, have, be, do, achieve. Life by design, not by fault. There is no try. I think when you take a look at all the bold laws that we have in our lives, they really teach us how to live our lives, and in a much richer, and I don't mean financially, I mean spiritually and emotionally deeper lives. And certainly I never expected that my life would turn out like this. I mean, if you asked me at 21 as a telephone man, what was my life going to be like at 69, this never would have been in the picture, right? Even though I started buying real estate at 22, I guess I should have gone into it as well, right?
Right.
I wasn't going to pay anybody rent anymore. I was not going to pay anybody's rent. At least I learned that very early. I think the most important part is we've developed these relationships. And I've called you when times have been difficult, and I've had difficult times. Am I doing the right thing? My real big why is for Divya and I, because neither one of us really has to work, is to take and build a team and turn it over to young people. We've got Julia and Jake and Silvio to have the life that we have, because Keller Williams gives you that opportunity. You've given me that opportunity. The people that I've had coach in my life with Pat Mancuso and Sam Nalen and Chris Hurley and James Shaw have changed all of our lives. So when you have that depth and intimacy built in, and trust, for me, the most important thing is trust, built in, that people just want nothing but the best for you, you have no place to go but up, right? So that being said, I don't know where we're going. All I know is that we're the tip of the iceberg. I can tell you that we're the tip of the iceberg. So with all the guidance that you still give me, that Pat gives me, and James gives me, and Sam still gives me, and Chris gives me with the script practice. And I have to mention Lee Curry and Ellie McIntyre, who have the script practice at 6:30 in the morning. So I start at 6:30. 7 to 7:30, I get dressed and I get ready to go to the office. 7:30, I go to James Shaw. 8 o'clock, we go from 8:20, we go to script practice. 9:15, we have huddle, and then lead generate to 11:30. So if you put all those things in place and just have a routine, models, tools, and systems, as my favorite word was not 5 years ago, right? That you taught me about models, tools, and systems.
Yeah.
If you do the routine, the rest of it just happens. You just have to do the work. And fortunately, I'm surrounded by a team that really does the work, and I'm grateful.
Absolutely. Well, Jack, I love you.
I love you more.
I'm
Always
honored
will.
that you're here. And thank you so much for spending time with me. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for the honor to be here. It's truly a pleasure and an honor. Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving me the life I never thought I'd have.
Absolutely.